Welcome back to another episode of Credentialed alongside Justine Fernandez. I'm Jillian Mealy, and we have a very special guest and episode for you today. I want to introduce to you one of my good friends. He's a comedian and actor. Maybe you know him. If not, you should and you will. Everyone, give it up for Michael Yo.
Yeah. What's up? How are
Okay,
y'all?
so how are you? Thank you for being here. So, Justine, Michael and I have known each other since January of 2017. He was on a show in Philly that I was hosting. That right, Michael?
That's right. It was a sports show, right?
Uh-huh.
And I just got engaged. Or no, I was having a baby. Well,
Yep.
my wife was having a baby. And because so many women get mad when you go, oh, you're not having a baby. But anyway, so my wife was having a baby, and you asked me a bunch of questions about if a ball got hit towards me in baseball, would I drop my beer? Would I hold my baby, drop my beer? Or would I put down my baby and catch the ball? Or something like that. It was fun.
Yep.
That was a great show. That was a fun show.
So wait, what did you answer? I forget.
I said I would try to catch the ball. No, y'all got mad at me because I said I would put down the beer. And you go, who puts down a beer for a baby? Yeah, I remember that.
That's funny.
I mean, it does take some coordination. You see those catches where the ball goes in the beer, but that's like an elite level of athleticism that I do not possess, and I wouldn't judge you if you didn't either.
Yeah, I don't have those skills. You know, I just don't have. I mean, yes, if I held a baby and I would try to catch it with the cup, you know, but then it ruins the beer anyway. So you might as well just put down the beer and just catch the ball, you know?
That's true, but you have to protect the baby at all costs. That's what you have to protect there.
100%. And your show was like, don't protect the baby, get the ball in the beer. I was like,
that's true. Yeah. You got to have that coordination there. Okay, so I've been spending a lot of time, by the way. I've told Justine multiple occasions, and I've had conversations with many other people about this, Michael. I don't know if you realize how much of an impact you've had on me over the last few years, because you've been one of those people who, through ups and downs and different job changes in school and this and that, you've always been such a good friend and a rock that I go to for advice. Like, I value your opinion. And you said something to me in the last year. You said, when I was making all these changes that we've discussed previously on this podcast, you said, you know, I know you well enough. And you said, my biggest fear for you is that you're going to overthink things and not just do. And that conversation has resonated with me so much. And I wanted to spend some time wondering where that came from in your life. Like, what did you do or experience or go through where that resonated with you?
Well, first of all, the words are so sweet. Thank you so much. That means a lot. But it really resonated because I lived it. I went through it about 3 or 4 years before you. You know, it was a thing where when I met you, I was just ending entertainment television, kind of. And I sat in a job that I was miserable in 3 years longer than I should. But I stayed in it because you debate like, well, if I get out, will I still be important? Will still people like me? I gotta support myself, my family. And then you get to a point where I was coming home every day and telling my wife how much I hated what I did. Because I woke up one morning, I remember it was a dream. I woke up one morning and I go, and no offense to anybody that does this, because some people, this is their dream, and I don't want to poo-poo on that. But I woke up and I go, wow, I just am not happy with interviewing celebrities every day, flying to where they are, waiting for them, and then them telling me how great their life is and them living their dream. And I'm like, my dream is not to sit here and interview people living out their best life. My dream is to live my best life. And it's nothing about being on the other side of the carpet. It has nothing to do with that. It's just do something you love, you know? And I did comedy and I loved comedy, but like I said, I sat in that job for 3 years, miserable. And my wife was like, hey, no matter what happens, we'll make it work. And you take anybody that's been on television, a full-time job, you take a large hit when you decide to go on your own. It's a big hit.
Yeah, it is.
It's a giant hit of money you lose. But then you're like, well, I'm so much happier though. And then once you get happy, you're like, oh, now I can do what I want to do. And then you, for some reason, it's the universe, the right opportunities start coming. And I believe when you, no, forget about money. Success is when you can say no and you don't need to do anything you don't want to do. You could just be like, no, I'm good. That's success to me, because that means financially you're well off enough where you can choose what you want to do and no one can force you into doing something you don't want to do.
Michael, I have a question on that. How did you learn how to say no? Because I think that is a challenge for people who have a lot of interests, a lot of skills. And you look at the business world, I work with senior leaders all the time. One of the biggest lessons, you have to choose what you're going to say no to. So how did you learn that lesson for yourself?
I think the most important thing is, you know what you don't want to do, but it's how you say no is more important than the no itself. Because you say no the wrong way, you burn a lot of bridges. And that's the whole important thing. But I learned how to say no from, it's all experience, because I'm just like any reporter. When I started, I took the crappy jobs. I didn't want to cover this, but you got to cover it. And you're seeing other people. The problem is, you see a lot of people move past you in your career, and then you'll catch up and they move past you, or you may move past them. And you feel like you have to do everything. And really, when you first start off, you do. That's just the grind. You have to do everything. But then once you reach a certain point where you're like, oh, you know what? I don't want to ask that question. Well, if you don't ask that question, you lose your job. Well, this job's not that important to me then. Because now it's about integrity. It's about keeping your integrity. And it's so weird. Like, I don't want to say you don't have any integrity when you first start a job or you try to build, but you're willing to sacrifice everything to get that bump in the career, And I'm talking about hard work. I'm talking about you're willing to do everything to get that bump, work hard, work extra long hours. But once you feel like, oh, I've done that, I don't want to go backwards. That's what it is, not going backwards. And that's when you learn to say no. It's like, no, I did that already. I don't want to do that again.
So what fulfills you then? I've seen your comedy show. Yeah. I went to your show when you were in Philadelphia just in the fall of of last year. It's now January 2024 of last year. And you were fantastic. I had never seen a full show of yours before. So for anybody listening, whenever he's in town, highly recommend it. I mean, we were on a show together. We've been friends over the years, but seeing you perform on stage in a full show, like, I could tell that that's something that you are so passionate about.
That I love it. I love it. I wouldn't change it for anything, because it's a special talent. And when you get to Hollywood, I lived in Hollywood several years, everyone respects stand-up comics. Actors are like, I was on the set of Modern Family when that show was huge. I remember Julie Bowen and Ty Burrell, and they were talking to me, and I was performing that night at the Comedy Store. And they go, how do you do comedy? Now, remember, this is the biggest show on television. They go, how do you do it? And I go, what are you talking about? You're on the biggest show in the world. They go, no. People write our words. You're up there alone. We have cameras. If we mess up, we could do it. How do you do that? So the respect you get from actors and casting directors, because when I was a host, I would go to auditions, and they go, what do you do? And I'm like, a host. They would go, oh, okay, go ahead. Now, when I go to the casting, they go, we saw your special, or we saw you at the Comedy Store. You're amazing. Now, it's just a different level. People respect it more, and that's, I forgot your question, but,
what fulfills you? You get fulfillment out of that, because it takes a long time to figure out what exactly fulfills each of us.
But no. I think different things fulfill you along your life. It changes all the time. You know what I mean? Like, entertainment reporting, when I first got that job, it fulfilled the heck out of me. For the first 8 years, I was so excited. You know how exciting it is for a guy that's flying around the world, like the world, to interview Tom Cruise, Tom Hanks, The Rock, Kevin Hart. You're at the most fabulous places in the world to interview these people. And then at that 8th year, you're like, oh, well, I know there's more. There's more of me. There's more I could give. This is great, but I got tired of hearing other people live out their dreams. It got to a point where The Rock, after I interviewed him, he would look at me and go, "Are you going after your real dream?" I remember every time I interviewed him, he goes, "This is what you want to do? Is this your dream?" I go, "No, I want to do stand up and, I want to act." He goes, "Oh, well, here's my acting coach's number. So call it whenever you're serious." 7 years went by. Finally, that 8th year, I was like, you know what? This guy, The Rock, saw more in me than I saw in myself for 7 years. Every time I interview him, he's like, "You're still here. Okay. This is what you want. Fine." But it wasn't but I was so excited to do it. And then you just reach a point where it's like, nah, I'm bigger than this. I'm better than this. And like I say, this is no offense to anyone that does it, but I just felt there was more of me. And what fulfills me is comedy and my family, because when you see my show, you see all my comedy comes from my family. So I just talk about what goes on in my life. Yeah.
A lot from your parents.
Oh my gosh, my parents, they're crazy. My parents are crazy. But you know what? That's why they're in my life, because there's so much great material. Anytime I hang out with them, I come up with a new joke. So it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Michael, I'm so curious because as we talked about, it takes a lot to go and take that leap of faith. You also were in the entertainment industry. You mentioned you lived in LA for a long time.
Yeah.
That's not only a hard industry, but a hard place to stay authentically you and figure out what matters to you. How did you navigate that?
You know what's interesting is the first day at E Entertainment, I walk in to makeup, and this one I knew was different. I saw all this hair on the wall, right? Like a whole wall filled
like
with
hair extensions?
Yes. I didn't know what it was, though. I didn't know what it was. Every color, hair, long, short. And I asked the lady, "What is this?" She goes, "Oh, this is the hair for the girls on the show." I was like, "Oh, that's not their real hair?" And she goes, "No, nobody has that kind of hair." And I was like,
except Justine, by the way. Justine's hair is real.
My wife has great hair too. Real hair. But it was crazy. The first day in there, I go, "Oh, okay. Everything's not real here." This is just the hair. The first day I'm learning that these women really don't have this hair.
Michael, why do you think my hair's short right now? Because I've been tired of hair extensions my whole career.
No, I get it. But I learned really fast that, this is a different place. You have to be authentic. And I saw people, still to this day, I know people that were my level, but then blew up. And then you lose contact with those people, for different reasons. You lose contact. It's not a real place. I tell everybody it's not a real place, but I also believe Hollywood makes the monster. And I'll tell you how. If you're a talent on a show, because I work with Ryan Seacrest, right? And this is any talent that was on E. I remember the first time I was thirsty. I was sitting in my chair about to talk on camera. I go, "Man, I'm thirsty." I was about to get up. The person ran up. No, we got it. I go, "What are you talking about?" I go, "No, we'll get you some water." I go, "No, I can get my own water." No. You don't do that. So I go right there. I go, "Oh, okay. That's how the monster is made." Because the bigger you get, the more stuff people do for you. So you learn not to do anything for yourself, because then you realize a person, especially an actor, they're responsible for 400 people's job. If they're not happy, you don't shoot. So it makes this monster where like people should do stuff for me all the time. Why? So then you get to a point where you're like, "Hey man, I'm thirsty." You don't even go get it. In your mind, you're like, "I'm thirsty." You just say, "I'm thirsty," and somebody, "Here's water." That's what's crazy to me, is that Hollywood makes the monster. I had a big friend. I had a friend who's a significant actor, and I was in Hollywood. I had a house. He came over. He says, "Hey man, give me some water." I go, "Excuse me?" He goes, "Oh my God. Oh my," he goes, "Oh my, I'm so sorry. I go, "Hey, I don't work for you, okay?" But he just was so used to saying, "Give me some water," or "Give me this, give me that." And I was like, "Yo, you ain't on set right now. What is that stuff going on in the background?" Oh, anyway, I'm seeing it, not you.
You got some fireworks. It's for the great content you're spewing.
Wait, did you just was there fireworks? I couldn't see the screen.
Yes,
Were
there
there
was
fireworks on it?
but I know why. I know why. Somebody text me, I guess, Happy New Year fireworks.
Wait, that's actually, I'm sorry to like derail this conversation, but that's hilarious because I've been on calls on Zoom lately and randomly fireworks will go off like around my head on like a work professional call on Zoom. And I have to be like, I am so sorry. I don't know what is happening
because
right now.
somebody's texting you Happy New Year and then there's just fireworks that pop up.
Okay, please continue.
I don't know where I was. Where was I?
Okay, that's okay because we were talking about your friend, the actor to be unnamed that came over to your house.
But he was so trained and like when I say he's a big actor, he was so trained of people getting him stuff. When he came over to my house in a friendly situation, you lose sense of reality. That's the thing. Reality to him was everybody gets everything for him. And then as soon as he said that, he realized he was in my house. And he's been my friend for 20 years, and he knew how stupid he sounded. Because I was like, excuse me? Excuse me. And he goes, oh, man, I feel horrible. I'm sorry. But it makes the monster. Hollywood makes the monster.
So for those people who are listening, probably I would say majority of them aren't in that world and can't I've never been in the Hollywood circuit, the Hollywood world to fathom.
But it's any job. It's any job.
Yes.
You've worked in jobs where you had anchors that were the celebrity of that job. They could be like, I need a car to go get blank from blank. They would have a car to go get blank from blank. I need this for lunch. Somebody would go out and get it. It doesn't matter.
True.
Every job has it. Whoever's the boss in that job, guess what? They're getting more privilege than the other people that work under them. And go ahead.
Sorry. No, I was going to bounce a question off of that saying though, okay, so, I've had to think through a lot in this last year of what I'm going to do for myself, sort of the reverse of what you're saying, how in Hollywood and other jobs, they're afforded these opportunities to have people get them things, get them water, things like that. But I think many of us anyway, reach a point in life where you're like, I'm going to make a change, or I'm considering this, or this isn't fulfilling me anymore. How do I get from point A to point B where I can make myself happy? What would you say everybody can do at whatever point in their life they're in right now to do something for themselves? Like for me, it was you saying, don't overthink things.
Mm-hmm.
What can we all do for ourselves to be able to grow a little bit, or maybe take that leap of faith, or make a change or a transition? What would your advice be?
Well, I'll tell you this. I hate when people say, quit your job and go after your dream. I hate when people say that, right? Because a lot of people aren't prepared to do that financially. What I did is I stayed in entertainment news 3 years longer than I needed to till I was able to tour and make my own career of that. I started comedy 5 years before that time. I literally would work all day and then go out at night to do stand-up and wake up at 5 a.m. to start the job the next day because I felt like this is something I want to do, So I would tell anyone listening, start what you love. Really lean into what you love, but keep that job. Balance both. It's going to be tough. You're going to be tired. But once you feel the thing you've been leaning into, you can be like, okay, I think I can make a career of this. I think I have enough leads to do something. And I've seen a lot of people in PR. They were part of a big PR company. And then they're like, well, I got 3 clients, so let me start my own business. Lean into what you love. Always lean into what you love. Put your heart into what you love and build it while you're in that other job, because that other job almost becomes like a financer of the business you want, So look at it as just money coming in to money in your pocket to do what you want to do. That's what I would say. And go for it. And just remember, 90% of people don't want you to win, and they lie to your face. As long as you know that, as long as you know 9 out of 10 people that you run across don't care if you win, or really hate that you win, or will lie to your face. If you know that moving forward, it's hard to be crushed by somebody not being supportive or being there for you. Because I learned that in Hollywood. I had I had a lady, I don't want to, a man or lady, take over a network I was at, lied to my face, literally called me into a meeting, lied to my face, and went against that 2 weeks later. So I
I've
learned,
experienced that.
and
Yeah.
that was very young in my career. And I go, okay, this is how it works. You know, people will lie to your face, be sincere, lie to your face, and then totally not do what they say they're going to do. So I learned that early, and that's and that's in any job. Hollywood is just, you know, people like, oh, Hollywood. It's every job. There's always people that are favored. There's always people that are going to get lied to, and there's always people that hate that you're successful.
So how do you tune out the noise, tune out the naysayers? For example, so I worked in sports for a long time. Before I got an agent, I had a reputable agent who told me, you should not go into sports because you're blonde. There's too many blondes. And I love sports. That's what I wanted to do. And so I was just like, okay, well, then you're not the agent for me then. But it's really hard not to, because I had a moment where I was like, oh, well, maybe he's right. Maybe I shouldn't go into sports. So how do you tune out the noise?
Well, you do what you love. You know, like I did not care what anybody said. You know how many people said, oh, even Chelsea Handler was like, hey man, if you do comedy, you know, you got to go up every night. You got to balance your life. It's going to be crazy because comedy is not easy and you have a full-time job. Most comedians that make it, comedy is their full-time job. You're going to have to put a lot of work into it, you know? So right there, that wasn't noise. That was the truth. You know, I think it's surround yourself with people that tell you the truth. And then when you hear, like, there were so many comics, like Joe Coy is my mentor in comedy, one of the biggest comics in the world right now. I remember when I first started comedy, comics would talk crap to, they didn't know I knew him like that, but they would talk crap to me about Joe Coy because they were like, oh, you know, he's a performer, not a comic, blah, 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 blah. And I go, this dude is here. So many people talk noise about this guy, but he's still doing what he's doing. You know what I mean? And that's what I learned is people can talk, but they really can't stop you unless you let them stop you. You know,
That's
like if your
yeah.
agent
Preach.
if your agent was like, oh, you're blonde, there's too many blondes in it. You go, yeah, there's a lot of blondes, but are they as good as I am?
I'm going to be
You
the
know-
best blonde. How about
That's
that?
right. Yeah.
Well, suffice it to say, I did not hire that agent. He did not get the job
Good for you.
because I was like, you do not get me if you think that is the obstacle, and you should have me keep doing something I don't love rather than go pursue what I really love because of the color of my hair.
And that's so ridiculous. That's so ridiculous and I understand. He goes, well, every time you turn on TV, there's a blonde that does sports. Fine. Well, there's a reason for that. You know, maybe it works. Maybe like, instead of saying I can't get a job, let's find me a job. That doesn't matter. It's all about your credibility, you know, because I know a lot of these ladies that do sports, they know their stuff.
Mhm.
It's not just, oh, they're kind of cute and they do sport. No, they're researching. They watch all the games. They're just like anybody else that wants to kick ass in their job. So don't tell me just because I'm blonde I can't get a job. You know, that's just ridiculous to me. But it's the same thing I heard. It's like, oh, you're a news host. You can't do stand up. I heard that. I was like, and then I heard, well, you're a comic. You can't act. And now I'm acting. So it's kind of like, you can't say you don't care what people say because
Right.
I don't care. I don't care what people say. Oh, I don't really care. Yes, you do. Because you hear it here and there, but you can't let it affect you. You can take it in and go, all right, and then just move forward, you know?
See, over the years, and this wasn't always the case, but as I got obviously more years under my belt in my career and more confidence in that and just more studied and more researched and everything, I started to like hearing that criticism and that feedback because I'm like, oh, you think I can't do this? Watch me. I'm going
Yeah.
to do this right now. Even if it was something I wasn't going to do or wasn't interested in doing, I'm like, no, I'm going to do this just because you say I can't.
No, I totally understand that. It's great hearing people say things you can't do and then doing them. But like you say, the noise really affects you when you're insecure. When you're secure, noise doesn't affect you at all. It really doesn't. I mean, you hear it, you're like, oh, that's messed up, but it really doesn't affect you. You're not going home with it going, I'm so sad. But when you're young, let me tell you,
Yep.
when I was my first day on E, never did television, got hired on TV because they liked the way I interview people on the radio. I was on set with Ryan Seacrest. Never been on TV. They said, hey, you're about to, you have to do a read. The director pointed at me and I pointed back at him because I didn't know what he was doing. I was like, hey. He goes, no, read, And so many people in that, I heard it. So many people like, this guy's never done television. He's never going to make it. Like this guy, and this is my first day because I never have. And I go, how did this guy get that job? He's never done television. And I heard all the noise and all the stuff. And I go, well, obviously I have some talent because I'm here. And to be honest with you, what y'all do, I wouldn't say this, doesn't seem that hard once I learn how to read the prompter. You know what I mean? Like the personality to interview, I can hang with anybody. But the prompter thing, you just got to get used to it. So that's all it was. And I always had that confidence of interviewing people because that's what I specialize
Hold on.
in.
Did you just say that our job was not difficult, Michael?
It is not. I tell everybody. I tell everybody.
Or we make it look easy.
Yes.
Yeah, no. The job, okay. See, the job is not hard. Doing it well is hard. Because you can look, let's be honest. There's all types of celebrities hosting shows that are terrible hosts, right? So it's the job is not hard. Anyone can do the job because they can retake it. But live television, where you got to hold a 3 to 4 hour show or an hour show and it's live, that's when talent comes into me. That's when people are watching a program because of you. To me, that's when talent comes in. Like when I worked for these entertainment shows, I go, it doesn't really matter who's hosting these shows. And no offense, because people are watching the stories, But when you watch Chelsea Lately, people came for Chelsea. When you watch The Soup, people came for Joe McHale. When you watched any news program, people come for the news anchor. I'm talking about 24-hour news. You know what I mean? People come for those anchors. When you do entertainment news, nobody's like, I want to see this guy because he talks about this story, And to prove that, that's why Oscars, Grammys, and all the award shows did well. It was the same host. It's just people wanted to see that footage. And that's the one thing I was told in radio very early on. One of my first big radio bosses never be he was, okay, I'll give you an analogy he gave me. He goes, you're a waiter. I was in radio. He goes, you're a waiter at a restaurant. I was in Top 40 radio. You serve hits, like Top 40 radio hits. Now, if someone comes in, they're there for the hits, the radio. But if you're a great server, they'll come back for you. They'll know your name. So you're not bigger than the hits. If you did polka, nobody would come to you. You know what I mean? So I feel a lot of people feel like they're bigger than the job they're in, But then you see these huge anchors get let go and nothing changes. People still watch the show. Life goes on. And I think that's a very important, humbling lesson to learn. It's not a lot of times, unless the show is surrounded, it's your show and you make that show happen. If you're part of like an entertainment news program or a part of a panel show, you're just a piece of that. You're not bigger than that show. And once you're gone, they can replace you easy. And I learned that in entertainment news because I saw it in ticket sales. Nobody cared that I did entertainment news. As soon as I started comedy and started doing projects that supported what I love, that pushed people to comedy, that's when they started buying tickets.
Well, that showcases what you love, what you're passionate about, and it gives people the opportunity to get to know you on that level versus the you that was reading those entertainment headlines or doing those interviews, which I think Justine and I can wholeheartedly relate to, because for me, especially in this last year, with leaving my career to start something of my own, now people are getting a sense of the Jillian that you guys have known. And that's why Justine and I wanted to do this podcast so that people could get to know us. Justine, I'll let you, piggyback off that. That was one of the main reasons we wanted to do this.
Yeah, for sure. And it's also a bit scary at the same time because you're putting yourself out there and you're not just talking about that celebrity. Or for me, I interviewed a lot of athletes. Same thing. You're always waiting for them. Television a lot of times is hurry up and wait for the athlete to be ready to talk to you after the game, etc. But this, you have to show more of yourself. You're not telling their stories anymore. You're telling your own. And I can imagine comedy is a lot of the same thing.
Well, like with all three of us, it's amazing when you say something and you get the reaction from the audience, or you meet somebody that listens to your podcast or sees your comedy show. And what I love is I'll perform, and then you'll always have one or two people come up after and go, "Hey man, I had the worst day ever. Blank happened in my life. I was really down. Changed my day. You actually made it. You made it very happy." And that means a lot, because I feel like you really don't know the impact because you don't physically see it. You really don't know the impact of what you can do to other people, just in every day. I remember and I go back to radio because I came from radio, but I went to a Biggie concert when, no, it was a P. Diddy concert. Biggie just died, Houston, Texas, 18,000 people at the Summit. I'll never forget it. I was with my radio boss. People were going nuts for Diddy, singing, going crazy. I looked at my boss, man, I want to do this one day. And he goes, "You realize when you're on the radio, 3 million people listen. If you make a funny joke, you just made 3 million people laugh, not 18,000. And that's when the power of radio really hit me, and the power of podcasting, because you don't know. This podcast, you could have inspired somebody. You probably will never know. But you have, and that's what's amazing about this platform.
Well, and you have too.
Oh, but what's great about comedy, you meet the people you affect, a lot of them afterwards.
Yeah, true.
When you're on TV, you really don't meet those people.
No, I mean, even here, being like a guest here and joining us for this conversation, just so people know, being transparent, it's Sunday morning where you are when we're recording this, and you're taking time out of your Sunday morning to talk to us, which is, not always the traditional on-air conversation you have. You do a lot of comedy, and you're telling a lot of jokes and having a lot of fun. And I'm not saying this isn't fun. I hope that it's fun for you, but these are more real conversations about how, change and how perspective and how passion and how all of these things have led the three of us really to a very similar, down a similar path to a similar end result right now, where we're all doing what we love and what we're passionate about. And we took those risks and those leaps of faith to be able to do that. And I mean, you've inspired me. You've helped me along my path. And I think me sharing my story with Justine has inspired her. I mean, she was like, "We got to get Michael on the show."
Yeah.
Because that powerful message that you had for me, and even just the friendship, has inspired me. And that's what you're doing now to our listeners.
It's a thing where I feel everybody in life, there are moments where you'll realize, oh, this is my chance to win. And when I mean win, like people always think it's financial. It's not. It's the love of what you're doing. I believe everybody listening to this podcast and in the world needs to do what they love, because I know so many friends of mine that are doing things they hate still to this day. And they're in their 40s and they hate what they're doing. It's like, well, that's not good for your health. That's not good for your family. That's not good for your sanity. You just need to find what you love, man. And I believe everybody can win. That's my thing. I believe in everybody. I want everybody to win. Anyone I'm close to, I want them to win. You know that. Sometimes I'll send you a text that's inspirational. I was just like, oh, she needs this today. I'll send it. Because I just feel like everybody close to me needs to win. And I think everybody close to me can win. And I that's all I want to do is spread love. And I do that through my comedy, through my podcast, anything I do. It's all about love, respect, positivity, and hopefully say something that'll make you want to win the day. Because that's what I'm about,
Michael, that is such an abundance mindset, and I am here for it.
Yes. Yes. I love that. Because look, we all know life is short. And the older you get, you're like, yo, it's getting shorter and shorter. So I just need to make an impact on everybody. Because I was talking to a friend about this. When you're young, when you're in your 20s, it's all about bragging. It's all about trying to be something you're not. Once you get comfortable with who you are, then like the noise stops. Like you're very like if somebody came up to me and went, "You're not a funny comic and you're a terrible host," I'd be like, I wouldn't even think about that because I know, okay, I'm not. I know I am. Like I would just disregard and go, "Oh, you're a very angry person." Like you're very angry. You don't know what you're talking about. And then I would just move on, but earlier in my career, that would have affected me. So it's about growth. It's about knowing your worth. Once you find your worth, you'll never go backwards. But when you don't know your worth, you go backwards all the time because you're like, is this my worth? No, maybe this is my worth. No, that's not my worth. This is my worth. Once you know your worth, you're like, no, I'm not doing that job. Nope, that's not for me. You have to know your worth. You have to, but you have to be realistic about your worth too. I have had several conversations where I've gotten host jobs where literally the person's like, you got the job. Next day, we went with a bigger person. And these are for network television jobs, right? Like hosting these big game shows. And I get it. I understand it. So my job, instead of complaining that I was better qualified for the job, my job is to actually make my brand bigger so I'm undeniable. So that's my job. It's not to whine about why blank person got this job because they had more Instagram followers or they had more credits than me or they were more visible than me. My job is to become more visible, get on more things, do more things, work harder. That's my job, not to complain about that because they're doing them. They have nothing to do with me. Now I need to do me.
Is it hard in the world of comedy with the world we're in today with trying to be authentic yet having to manage the balancing act, or maybe you don't even think about it, of this being cancel culture that's been going on? Do you think about that as a comedian? Because you don't.
Never.
Really?
But also you see my show. I'm not a dude that talks about a lot of stuff to get canceled.
Yeah.
I'm not a guy to be like, I love my wife. Oh, you're canceled. You love your wife. You're horrible. No. But I also believe like I kind of like, I don't know. Cancel culture to me is interesting because comics, if you're big enough, you can't really get canceled because your audience is still going to come out to see you. If it's not something like terrible, if it's something you said, you can always get past that. But I believe a lot of people, like, let's talk about the news. We've all seen anchors that got fired. And I don't care from the left or right. You've all seen anchors that got fired. And this is one thing I think is wrong about cancel culture is you'll see an anchor get fired because they said something that's controversial. And the anchor goes, oh, I said it, but everybody's trying to cancel me. And they're trying to take away my freedom of speech. That's the whole thing. But what's interesting to me is that conversation ends there, where it's never like, by me saying what I had to say, you're taking away other people's freedom of speech that didn't like it. You're saying what I said, I should be able to say, and those people, they shouldn't have freedom of speech. See, nobody thinks about that. You just jump on the side of, oh, we should cancel. I got canceled because I said something I wanted to say. Yes, you did. You said that. And guess what? These other people that disagree with it, they said what they had to say. And those people aren't firing you. The business you work for is firing you because those people have voices too. So they have their freedom of speech. You used your freedom of speech to say what you wanted to say. It's a two-way road. Now those people said what they wanted to say. And I think that gets lost in the whole cancel culture thing. And I think cancel culture is a word that is a political word. I don't really think it's real, but I think it's used more than it needs to be. It's like woke. We use woke, and woke was originally what black folks use. My friends, when I was a kid, they would go, hey, man, stay woke. That means something was around the corner. You need to look out for this. Now it's a political word. So it's a thing where the whole cancel culture thing, I think it doesn't affect me. But I also think if you're using that freedom of speech thing, you got to think about the other people you're offending because they have voices too.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about the other side, but it's so true. Now everybody's just kind of afraid to say anything is what I feel like has happened. And then you're not really speaking your truth if you're always afraid of being canceled or vice versa.
Well, no, you can speak your truth, but you know what it does too? It makes you be smarter about how you say things.
It's true.
Because let's be honest, a lot of people that say things that get canceled, it's just out of anger. or rage. It's not healthy at all. They're just like, this is it. It all. I've never seen someone canceled that said something with thought. You know what I mean? That isn't well thought out. You know, maybe it's happened, but I've never heard someone that's not coming with anger that goes, hey, you know what? We should think about this. And maybe it has happened, but it's usually somebody just spitting out something they're mad about, and they really don't have a take. They're just saying something that just, they know it will shock people, and then there's really nothing to back it up. And those are the type of things that get canceled. Now I'm just talking about entertainment. Comedy is different. What's interesting about comedy, when you go up there, we have to try stuff out. It's almost like when reporters go to comedy shows, this is how comedy works. Until it's on a special, it shouldn't be judged. Because when we're in a comedy club, that could be our first draft of what we're trying to say. We don't just go in there and have the whole bit. We start with a line, and then that one line 6 months from that time could be 8 minutes long. You know, you start with an idea and work. Yeah. You know, so when reporters go to comedy shows and goes, this guy said this, this, and this, he should be canceled or whatever they do. They're like, oh, that's like that reporter turning in their first draft. That would never happen. Guess what? They got an editor that would look at it. They got the boss that would look at it. They would correct spelling, punctuation. That they wouldn't just write it and turn it in. But no. So we go through that same process. And you never know when you go to a comedy show what version of it we're on. We could have 80% of it done, but we need a new idea. And we say that new idea and you get mad about it. It's like, well, it's not done yet. Now, when it's on a special, I feel that's the only time you really can judge a comedian on the material, because we drop stuff, we add stuff. I have a bit right now that I remember when I first tried it, people in the audience were like, ugh. Now, 3 months later, it's one of my biggest bits. But they were like, ew, when it first
Which one is it? Can you tell us?
I don't think I did it. It's so new. Did I do the Blacker Barrel thing?
I don't think so.
Yeah, so it's a new bit. Since I saw you a couple months ago, it's a new bit. And I remember I did it at the Comedy Cellar. First night I did it, everybody was like, ugh. But now it's so funny because I figured it out. You know, I'm not going to go into the joke because I'm put on my special, but
okay, we did wait for that.
I don't want to even say it, but it's Blacker Barrel. That's the concept of it. And when people first heard it, even the owner of the club was like, I don't know if this is going to work. And now last night, he goes, man, this is one of the most amazing bits. And no matter what color you are, it makes people uncomfortable, but they laugh so hard too.
And so for those who don't know, who are listening, by the way, your background is?
Black and Asian. Black Blasian. What's up? Yeah. You know, and I love being Blasian because we're like hot right now. You know, we're the thing. You know, we're very.
Were you ever not the thing, Michael? Michael, were you ever not the thing?
Yeah, seriously.
Seriously, I was, because when I grew up, there was no interracial couples on TV. Now you can't turn on the TV without seeing an interracial couple. I see it all the time. I'm like, okay, they over adjusted. You know, well, there's nothing, and then all of a sudden there's everything, and then in a couple of years it'll balance out. You know, I've never seen a white couple on TV anymore. You never see just a black couple on TV anymore. It's always interracial now, you know, so it's great because when I was growing up, it wasn't like that. All the cartoons were not people of my color. Now, you know, what's great for my kids, I'm watching them watch Moana, Coco. They didn't have when I was growing up. More representation. I love it. I love it. Some people don't love it, but I love it.
Wait, I have a question. Is there going to be a line that is going to be in your upcoming shows that's developed off of this podcast episode right here?
You know what? It actually, no, I will tell you. I'll tell you, I started the thing at the end of the show because it's kind of like, I feel like I was put on this earth to connect people and inspire people. And I'm being truthful. I just found out my vessel is comedy. You know, so at the end, I give everybody, at the end of shows now, I give everybody like, hey, hope you have a great 2024. You know, I'm rooting. I really get personal with them and tell them how much I want them to win, kind of like I said on this podcast. And the effect on the audience, the effect on people coming up to me going, hey, man, that last message meant a lot. You know, I don't know, man. That's why I'm here. And I'm so excited that I'm here to like uplift people, show them they can win and connect people. And I love that comedy is my vessel for it, man. I'm just happy. I'm so happy.
You can sense it we're talking to you through a screen, and I'm sure those at home listening can sense it too. And when Jillian asked, were you ever not the thing? Let me tell you, Michael, looking at you, you ooze cool. It is dripping,
dripping and cool, you know? Like dads can be cool, you know, and that's what I love. You remember, well, y'all too young, but when I was young, a dad that was 30 on TV looked old as hell. Now, dads in their 40s, we're cool, man. We're not, because we grew up with, you know, like people my age, we grew up with hip hop. We grew up with Nirvana. We grew up with all that kind of stuff. So all the things that are still big today, we started internet, you know,
social media.
We started social media. I mean, I feel like the coolness doesn't really leave us because we were there when it started.
Wait, how old are you?
Huh?
How old are you?
49.
Oh.
Yeah, cool.
Michael.
49. Yeah. I'm
in my 40s.
Yeah. See, we're cool. We're cool. I don't know if you're cool when you got to say you're cool, but we're cool.
Well, I just told you we're cool, Michael. So
well, thank
it came
you.
from someone else.
There you go. I love that. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. No, but I love getting old. You know why? Because that means you're still living. You know, so hey, I will tell everybody my age. I'm 49, but I'm Black and Asian. So I don't age, you know.
Okay, any parting words of wisdom that you would like to say? The floor is yours.
Yes. I want to tell everybody listening to this show, 2024 could be the start of something great. You just got to go after it, be smart about it. People are going to say you can't do it. That always happens. Most people that tell you they can't do it never achieve what they wanted to achieve. And they're telling you you can't do it by their personal experience. Because anyone that gives you advice, it's their personal experience. And some people's personal experience you value, some people you don't. When someone tells you you can't live your dream, it's because they didn't live their dream. So that should tell you not to listen to them, right? So just be smart about it. Go for everything. 2024 is your year. I love you. I hope you do well. And I wish you nothing but success.
And I will echo your words to me. Don't overthink it.
Don't just do it.
Start.
Yeah, you have to start. You have to start. Because Jillian, I mean, you were all over the place. Let's be honest. Well, should I? I don't know. See, this overthinking thing, just got to do it. Just got to make it happen. Because once you make it happen, once you go, oh my God, there's this whole side of life where I don't have to wake up at 2 a.m. every morning. This is phenomenal. Yes, it is, Jillian. And it's because you went after your goal. It took you a while. It took you a long while, but you did it. And I'm so happy for you. And I'm so proud for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This was amazing. Michael, I may queue up that last 30 or seconds or so when I need inspiration in the gym, when I'm about to go for a run, because it was getting me hype.
Cut it up and make it an Instagram. You know, when people do those workouts, where you hear somebody talking in the background?
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah, we will. So how can people find you?
That'd be hilarious.
How can people find you?
Oh, at Michael Yeo on everything. I was early. Michael Yeo, MICHAELYO. It's not YOE. It's not YOEH. It's just Yo. YO. And it's my real name. So there you go.
Michael Yeo, thank you, my good friend.
Yes.
Thank you for waking up early on a Sunday morning to be with us.
Oh, yeah.
We appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
And thank you, everyone, for joining us for this special episode of Credentialed. We'll see you next time.